Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating real-world scenario that sits right at the intersection of social support and entrepreneurial ambition. We're going to explore the delicate, often tricky balance of using a disability grant to start a small business. It's a subject completely packed with opportunity, but as we'll see, it requires some serious strategic thinking.
So let's kick things off with a massive question for all you aspiring entrepreneurs out there. Can you actually take a South African disability grant and use it to start a business? Is it genuinely permitted to take your survival funds and launch a commercial venture? For anyone receiving this grant, it's a profound question. You've got this steady, albeit limited, source of income meant for your basic survival. The idea of taking out Lifeline and turning it into seed money is a bold concept. It immediately sparks questions about legality, practicality, and of course, the immense pressure of getting it right.
Section 1. Debunking the grant myth, the legal reality, and South Africa.
There's a huge contrast between what most of us assume and what the law actually says. People usually think a disability grant is completely ring-fenced, strictly for basic needs like food, housing, and medical bills. But the reality? In South Africa, if you receive a disability grant, you're actually allowed to use those funds for literally any lawful purpose. And yes, that explicitly includes getting a small business off the ground. There is absolutely no legal red tape tying every single cent strictly to your daily survival needs.
Which brings us to a seriously empowering concept. The source material hits the nail on the head, stating that if you approach this thoughtfully, repurposing this grant can be, quote, a great step towards achieving financial independence. Think about that. It's not just a legal loophole, it's a legitimate pathway. It completely flips the script, turning a survival mechanism into a potential launchpad for real self-sufficiency and broader financial freedom.
Section 2. The realities of risk, the business survival class.
But hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need a bit of a reality check here. Our source material points out something crucial. Running a business has its own set of risks. Success is not guaranteed. When you're an entrepreneur, the free market honestly doesn't care where your seed money came from. The very real possibility of losing your investment is always lurking in the shadows, and we absolutely can't ignore it.
And here is the absolute kicker. 100% of this grant is intended to cover your essential living costs. We are talking about basic human survival, your food, your rent, your necessary medical care. This isn't some disposable income or a fun side hustle fund. If your business venture tanks and you've spent this money, you don't just lose an investment, you lose your safety net. You literally lose the funds meant to keep a roof over your head. The stakes could not possibly be higher.
So we can break this down into 3 major risks you have to navigate. First up, as we just discussed, the loss of essential funds. Second is financial instability. Business income is notoriously roller coaster-like, especially right at the start. If you pour too much of your grant in all at once and hit a roadblock, you risk severe financial instability. You might end up without enough cash flow for your basic monthly needs, putting you in a far worse position than when you started.
And that brings us to the third major risk, market risks. These are those unpredictable outside forces that can totally derail a business out of nowhere. We're talking a sudden drop in customers, random operational expenses popping up, or just fierce competition moving in next door. The advice is crystal clear. You've got to verify and prepare for these common challenges beforehand. Having a brilliant idea just isn't enough. You actually have to survive the harsh reality of the open market.
Section 3. Smart investment strategies, mitigating the danger.
All right, so how do we handle this? Well, the absolute golden rule here is incredibly simple but absolutely critical. Avoid investing the entire grant amount all at once. Because this money is your lifeline for essential living costs, protecting those essentials has to be priority number 1. Pushing all your chips into the middle of the table right away is a gamble you just cannot afford when your literal food and shelter are on the line. So let's map out a cohesive strategy to manage this safely. The sources lay out a very clear step-by-step path. Step 1, do not invest everything at once. Step 2, start small. Make a tiny, manageable investment just to test the waters and prove your business concept actually works in the real world. And finally, step 3, expand gradually. Only once your business is actually generating its own momentum should you start to scale up over time. This phased approach isolates your risk and protects those vital survival funds. The big takeaway here is loud and clear: you must acknowledge risk through thoughtful planning. Every single business venture carries risk, so careful, deliberate planning isn't just some fancy corporate buzzword. It is literal survival. You've got to go into this with your eyes wide open, see the dangers, and actively map out exactly how you're going to step right around them. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. The legal pathway is wide open. The chance to move from relying on a grant to achieving true financial independence is legally right there. But you have to ask yourself, is the potential reward of running your own small business really worth risking your essential safety net? It's a choice that takes immense courage and, more importantly, meticulous strategy. How would you balance that scale? Keep learning, keep questioning, and I hope this breakdown gave you a totally new perspective on the realities of entrepreneurial risk.